Hi, returning now. Sorry for the abrupt cut off at the last moment. Anyway, let's just quickly wrap this up. So, like I was saying, Contreras hits it on the ground a lot, and the thing is, you'll sit through that sort of foible or whatever, because then you'll also have him placing Kershaw deep when the Cubs eliminated the Dodgers last year, or just because I was talking about Lester and Baez, you'll take Lester's inability to throw off, pick someone off, or throw to the bases as the TDM, because then you get the aria of Tommy Pham being picked off. Or for Baez, you'll take the higher than desirable strikeout totals, because players are, there's a unity to our personalities or our characters, and it very well might be the case that to get the aria of stealing home in the NLCS last year, or he did again in this regular season, you have to sit through the tediums of him striking out. Okay, so this notion of, the thing about baseball is every team is guaranteed to lose 40 games a year. You're also guaranteed to win 40 games a year. Excuse me. So it's not every single game has to have 27 failures on the offensive side. So failure is just sort of built into it. So that's why when I say, in terms of players who are my favorite, I prefer the players with roughness in them, like Contreras or Baez, or even Lester to a degree. It's because their tediums are longer, or their bad stretches, or the things that might have issues are. Look, eventually, I really do think Wilson Contreras will put everything together and put together an MVP caliber season. If he ever does that, and hopefully he does, it's going to be more satisfying than Bryant's from last year, because when Bryant came up, if you follow Cubs culture or Cubs at all, everything you've heard about Chris Bryant was he's an amazing player. And he came up in 2015 and won Rookie of the Year. He was he was very much a finished product. As much as a player can be perfect, he basically was in 2015. The one thing you could point to is, again, higher than struggling against elite pitching and higher than desirable strikeout totals. In 2016, he changed that. He changed his bat path. So even in 2016, he felt, in a way, complete and done. And so the only thing that eventually Bryant's going to, because there's life cycles with these things, eventually Bryant will age and change, and one he'll become interesting is to see his decline. But for someone like Contreras, who was in the Cubs system for 6 years, it's always he might not have as good of a career as Bryant does overall, but you'll have much more of the rise and fall, which is more satisfying to me. The other thing about the notion of, having to sit through the bad years or the lean years or the tediums, however you want to put it, is I can't, for the Yankees, who've had 25 years of winning seasons and 5 World Series, and how many, I'm not bothered about a lot of pennants and a lot of divisions the years they didn't win the World Series, you still have the distinction between tediums and arias. There's still times which are strikingly different, but the thing is, it's not failure. It is the failures. One of the most celebrated World Series is actually the 1960 World Series, and it's because the Yankees lost that series despite out hitting and outscoring the Pirates basically 2-1. Okay. I also want to bring up one last thing about this sort of thing. I really do not like the Dodgers, as I hopefully have made clear. One thing I am also grateful for it, if it had to be the Dodgers to eliminate the Cubs this year, I could not think of a worse outcome than like Seager or Bellinger or Turner hitting a home run, and then Clayton Kershaw pitching a complete game or a shutout or whatever, or mostly Kershaw in their bullpen. For the final game to be 1-0 would have drove me insane. So that, despite the fact that it was 11-1 for the game 5, which is a really bad score, and the Cubs sort of just let it down and died in the last game. The thing is, it was because of Kike Hernandez. For whatever reason, he sees the ball. He was seeing the ball really good that night, and he especially saw it out of Q's hands. So he hit 3 home runs, one of which was a grand slam. He had 8 ribbies that night. So, like, it's not so much the Cubs were eliminated by the Dodgers. It was like just on the back of Kike, of all the fucking people, Kike Hernandez. And now there's been a few months removed, and they lost the World Series. I'm actually kind of grateful for it, because that is Kike Hernandez. He's a super utility player on the Dodgers. He's also the only player on the Dodgers I can stand. So that was, in some ways, that was the aria for Kike's career, and because of that, I'm okay with that. Anyway, if I can just wrap this up, I just wanted to bring out that I really do I love watching Wilson Contreras play, because he has you can see the raw talent. You can also, and you see the passion, and you see the roughness. Maybe he'll never put it all together, but I think one day he will, and it's going to be so satisfying when he does. Whereas for someone like Bryant is so finished, he's going to be 6 to 9 WAR player for the next 3-4 years. And we don't know, in a way, Contreras could go either way, and I think he's going to become great. I hope that when I'm sitting through his tediums, I get to see the aria, if I could beat that metaphor into the ground anymore. Okay, anyway, I'm starting to ramble, so have a good night. Cubs and culture out. I'll be doing a culture tomorrow. Thank you. Have a nice night.